Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mic's on, camera's on. All right, everybody good.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. We're here for your prelim today. So I have a translator for you, Mr. Padilla. Do you need everything translated, or do you want to raise your hand when you don't understand something?
Yes, everything, please.
What was that?
I said everything, please.
So do you want everything translated, or just if you do not understand something?
Yes, just everything. I just want to understand everything. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, so we'll get started in 1 second. The appeal Hudobenko as well is present with us.
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Perfect. Good morning. Good morning. I am P.O. Meissner, a hearing examiner for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. It's a preliminary hearing concerning Padilla Carlos, number 427911. Today is February 19th, 2025. This hearing is being conducted via video at the BOPP Central Office in Hartford Correctional Center. This is a public hearing and public access. This hearing is available via video live stream. We also have interpreter Ms. Rivera today. So can you please raise your right hand? You solemnly swear, sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that you will faithfully discharge according to law your duties as interpreter to the best of your abilities, to help you God or upon penalty of perjury.
Buenos días, soy la oficial Meissner, examinadora de audiencias para la Junta de Indultos y Libertad Condicional. Esta es una audiencia preliminar en referencia a Carlos Padilla, número 427911. Hoy es miércoles 19 de febrero del 2025. Esta audiencia está siendo conducida vía video en la oficina central de la Junta de Indultos y Libertad Condicional y el Centro Correccional de Hartford. Esta es una audiencia pública. Acceso público a esta audiencia está disponible vía transmisión en vivo.
We also have a parole officer present. Can you please identify yourself for the record?
Sure. Good morning. Nicholas Hudobenko, Hartford Special Management Unit.
También tenemos al oficial Hudobenko de la Oficina de Manejo Especial, que se identificó para el registro.
And we have counsel present. Please identify yourself.
Good morning. Public Defender Robert Famiglietti of the Parole Revocation Unit.
También tenemos la defensa que se identificó para el registro, el señor Robert Famiglietti.
This is a preliminary hearing, which is the purposes under Connecticut law. To determine if there is probable cause to believe you commit an act that violated conditions of your parole, determine if the act is sufficiently serious to warrant revocation of your parole, and to determine if you should be held in prison pending further proceedings. The state, not you, has the responsibility to show there's probable cause to believe you've violated one or more conditions of your parole. If I do not find probable cause, I'll reinstate your parole, which means releasing you and placing you back on parole supervision. If I find probable cause and determine the act is sufficiently serious to warrant revocation, you may be held in prison pending further proceedings. You should know preliminary hearing is an adversarial proceeding. Anything you say at this hearing can be used against you. This hearing is being recorded.
Esta es una audiencia preliminar, la cual tiene tres propósitos bajo la ley de Connecticut para determinar si hay causa probable para creer que usted cometió un acto que violó las condiciones de su libertad condicional, para determinar si el acto es suficientemente serio que garantiza la revocación de su libertad condicional y para determinar si usted debe de ser detenido en prisión pendiente a procedimientos adicionales. El Estado, no usted, tiene la responsabilidad de demostrar que hay causa probable para creer que usted violó una o más de las condiciones de su libertad condicional. Si yo no encuentro causa probable, restableceré su libertad condicional, lo que significa liberarlo y colocarlo de nuevo bajo supervisión. Si yo encuentro causa probable y determino que el acto es suficientemente serio para justificar una revocación, usted podría ser detenido en prisión pendiente a procedimientos adicionales. Usted debe saber que una audiencia preliminar es un procedimiento adversarial. Cualquier cosa que usted diga en esta audiencia puede ser usada en su contra. Esta audiencia está siendo grabada.
So this is the procedure for the hearing. First, I'm going to read you your rights. Then we will review the parole violation charge, state your appeal is written against you. I will review and identify exhibits filed for the record. The state will then have an opportunity to just issue probable cause and state of the allegations. After the state is finished, counsel will have the same opportunity. At the conclusion of the hearing, I will inform you my findings, which are based on the available evidence. Do you have any questions about the purpose or procedure?
El procedimiento de la audiencia es el siguiente. Primero leeré sus derechos, luego revisaremos los cargos de violación de libertad condicional que el Estado, su oficial de libertad condicional, ha presentado en su contra. Luego revisaré e identificaré las pruebas presentadas para el registro. La defensa o el Estado tendrá la oportunidad de abordar el tema de causa probable y la severidad de las alegaciones. Al concluir esta audiencia, la defensa también tendrá la oportunidad de hablar en referencia a causa probable. Anunciaré mis hallazgos, los cuales serán basados en la evidencia presentada. ¿Tiene alguna pregunta sobre el propósito o procedimiento antes de comenzar?
No, por ahora no.
No, not right now.
You have important rights at today's hearing, which I will now review with you. The right to have an attorney present. You have counsel here. You have a right to receive the written notice of charges of the violation. Did you receive the written notice?
Usted tiene derechos importantes en esta audiencia, los cuales revisaré con usted. Usted tiene el derecho a ser representado por un abogado en esta audiencia, el cual usted está siendo representado en el día de hoy. Tiene el derecho a recibir notificación por escrito de los cargos de la violación. ¿Recibe usted notificación por escrito de estos cargos?
Sí.
Yes.
You have a right to view the evidence against you before the hearing. You have a right to submit evidence in support of your case. At this hearing, you have a right to call and examine voluntary witnesses and cross-examine adverse witnesses. Do you understand these rights and are you ready to move forward?
Usted tiene el derecho de revisar la evidencia en su contra antes de esta audiencia. Tiene el derecho de someter evidencia para apoyar su caso. En esta audiencia usted tiene el derecho de interrogar testigos voluntarios como también interrogar testigos adversos. ¿Entiende usted estos derechos y está listo hacia seguir adelante?
Sí.
Yes.
So we'll now review the charge and state your parole officer is bringing against you and the information underlying each charge. So Hudobenko, if you could please read the charges and just pause after each one so that it can be translated.
Sure, absolutely. So charge 1 under GPS on 4/5/2024 at 1:22 a.m. You allowed your GPS unit battery to shut down and it remained shut down until 4:52 a.m., resulting in 3 hours and 30 minutes that your whereabouts were unknown and could not be verified by your parole officer. Your actions violate your signed GPS monitoring agreement and you signed a misconduct for your behavior.
Ahora estaremos revisando los cargos que su oficial de libertad condicional o el Estado ha presentado en su contra y la información subyacente a cada cargo. En el cargo número 1, GPS, el 5 de abril del 2024 a las 1:22 de la madrugada, usted permitió que la batería de su unidad GPS se apagara y permaneció apagado hasta las 4:52 de la mañana, resultando en 3 horas y 30 minutos en los cuales su paradero fue desconocido y no pudo ser verificado por su oficial de libertad condicional. Sus acciones violan su acuerdo de monitoreo de GPS y usted firmó un reporte de mala conducta por este comportamiento.
Charge 2, program participation. On 6/26/2023, you missed your scheduled mental health evaluation at CRT, which you had been informed by both Halfway House staff and your parole officer of and directed to attend. You failed to attend this stipulated evaluation. You signed a misconduct for your behavior.
En el cargo número 2, participación de programa. El 26 de junio del 2023, usted no se presentó a su evaluación de salud mental en CRT, la cual se le había informado tanto por el personal del Halfway House y su oficial de libertad condicional e instruido a asistir. Usted falló a asistir a esta evaluación estipulada. Usted firmó un reporte de mala conducta por este comportamiento.
Charge 3, notification of arrest. On 2/29/2024, you were stopped by Connecticut State Police while driving a motor vehicle in Hartford. You did not have permission to operate a motor vehicle from your parole officer, and you did not have a valid driver's license. Subsequently, you were ticketed for 14-147C, illegal use of a motor vehicle, 14-213B, illegal operation of a motor vehicle, 14-12A, operating an unregistered motor vehicle, and 14-36A, operating without a license. At no time did you report this law enforcement contact to your parole officer, and you were placed on GPS monitoring and signed a misconduct for your behavior.
En el cargo número 3, notificación de arresto. El 29 de febrero del 2024, usted fue detenido por la Policía Estatal de Connecticut mientras conducía un vehículo de motor en Hartford. Usted no tenía permiso de su oficial de libertad condicional para operar un vehículo de motor y no tenía una licencia de conducir válida. Subsecuentemente, se le dio una infracción por 14-147C, uso ilegal de vehículo de motor, 14-213B, operación ilegal de vehículo de motor, 14-12A, operar un vehículo de motor no registrado y 14-36A, operar sin licencia. En ningún momento usted reportó este contacto con la policía o agentes del orden a su oficial de libertad condicional y usted fue puesto en monitoreo de GPS y firmó un reporte de conducta por su comportamiento.
Charge 4, travel. On 10/6/2024, you left the state of Connecticut without your parole officer's permission and traveled to Six Flags Amusement Park in Massachusetts. You provided a verbal statement, which was video recorded and transcribed in a signed written statement that you visited Six Flags in Massachusetts in direct contact with your girlfriend's children, ages 9, 12, and 13 years old. Your actions violate your signed parole agreement and your parole officer's directions.
En el cargo número 4, viaje en octubre 6 del 2024, usted salió del estado de Connecticut sin el permiso de su oficial de libertad condicional y viajó al parque de diversiones de Six Flags en Massachusetts. Usted proporcionó una declaración verbal, la cual fue grabada a través de video y transcrita en una declaración escrita firmada por usted. Sus acciones y usted estuvo en contacto con los hijos de su novia de 9, 12 y 13 años de edad. Sus acciones están en violación de su acuerdo de libertad condicional y las instrucciones de su oficial de libertad condicional.
Charge 5, no consumption of alcoholic beverages. On a date between December 2024 and January 2025, you admitted to going to a bar in Hartford and consuming alcohol. You provided a verbal statement, which was video recorded and transcribed in a signed written statement that you had consumed approximately 3 beers. Your actions violate your signed parole agreement, specifically your no alcoholic beverage consumption stipulation.
En el cargo número 5, no consumo de bebidas alcohólicas. En una fecha entre diciembre del 2024 y enero del 2025, usted admitió ir a un bar en Hartford y consumir alcohol. Usted proporcionó una declaración verbal, la cual fue grabada a través de video y transcrita en una declaración escrita, firmada, que usted consumió aproximadamente 3 cervezas. Sus acciones están en violación de su acuerdo de libertad condicional firmado, específicamente la estipulación de no consumir bebidas alcohólicas.
Charge 6, mental health evaluation and treatment deemed necessary. On 6/26/2023, you missed your scheduled mental health evaluation at CRT, which you had been informed by both Halfway House staff and your parole officer of and directed to attend. You failed to attend this stipulated evaluation. You signed a misconduct for your behavior.
En el cargo número 6, evaluación y tratamiento de salud mental de ser necesario. El 26 de junio del 2023, usted no se presentó a su evaluación de salud mental programada en CRT, la cual se le había informado tanto por el personal de Halfway House como por su oficial de libertad condicional. Usted falló a asistir a esta evaluación estipulada y firmó un reporte de mala conducta por este comportamiento.
Charge 7, no contact with minors. On 4/20/2024 and continuing through 1/1/2025, you were in direct contact with minors. You provided a verbal statement, which was video recorded and transcribed in a signed written statement that you had been in the presence of your girlfriend's children, ages 9, 12, and 13 years old. A search of your cell phone also yielded multiple images of you with minor children. Your contact with minors violates your signed parole agreement, CTPSB treatment agreement, and your parole officer's directions. On 10/6/2024, you left the state of Connecticut without your parole officer's permission and traveled to Six Flags Amusement Park in Massachusetts. You provided a verbal statement which was video recorded and transcribed in a signed written statement that you had visited Six Flags in direct contact with your girlfriend's children, ages 9, 12, and 13 years old. Your actions violate your signed parole agreement and your parole officer's directions.
En el cargo número 7, no contacto con menores el 20 de abril del 2024 y continuando hasta el 1 de enero del 2025, usted estuvo en contacto directo con menores. Usted proporcionó una declaración verbal, la cual fue grabada a través de un video y transcrita en una declaración escrita firmada que usted visitó Six Flags en Massachusetts y estuvo en contacto directo con los hijos de su novia, edades 9, 12 y 13. Una búsqueda en su teléfono celular rindió múltiples imágenes de usted con niños menores. Su contacto con menores pone en violación su acuerdo de libertad condicional firmado, acuerdo de CTPSB y las instrucciones de su oficial de libertad condicional. El 6 de octubre del 2024, usted salió del estado de Connecticut sin el permiso de su oficial de libertad condicional y viajó al parque de diversiones de Six Flags en Massachusetts. Usted proporcionó una declaración verbal, la cual fue grabada a través de video y transcrita en una declaración escrita firmada que usted visitó Six Flags en Massachusetts y estuvo en contacto con los hijos de su novia, edades 9, 12 y 13. Sus acciones están en violación de su acuerdo firmado de libertad condicional y las instrucciones de su oficial de supervisión.
Regarding charge 8, problem sexual behavior treatment, I'm just going to note that those do mirror the two charges that were just previously read for no contact with minors. So the 4/2024 and 10/6/24, we do not need to read those on the record. Those mirror the same ones that we just read.
Quería decir para el registro que en el cargo número 8 no lo voy a leer nuevamente, ya que estos cargos básicamente son lo mismo que los cargos que fueron leídos previamente el 20 de abril y el 6 de octubre del 2024.
And the state is following exhibits that are pre-marked for identification purposes as Exhibit A, parole agreement, B, remand of custody order, C, notice of parole violation, D, parole violation report, E, offender misconduct, F, GPS monitoring agreement, G, CTPSB treatment agreement, H, at-night GPS evidence, I, cell phone image evidence, J, video evidence, K, parole and community services statements, L, CTPSB problem sexual behavior eval, M, CTPSB unsuccessful discharge letter, N, CT state police complaint ticket, O, judicial pending case detail, and P is CTPSB progress notes. Did you receive the notice of parole violation report, and the other documents I marked, did you review those?
El Estado ha presentado las siguientes pruebas premarcadas con propósitos de identificación, evidencia A, acuerdo de libertad condicional, B, orden de regreso a custodia, C, aviso de violación a libertad condicional, D, reporte de violación a libertad condicional, E, reporte de conducta del ofensor, F, acuerdo de monitoreo de GPS, G, acuerdo de tratamiento del CTPSB, H, evidencia de GPS, I, evidencia de imágenes en el celular, J, evidencia de video, K, declaraciones de libertad condicional y servicios comunitarios, L, evaluación de conducta sexual problemática de CTPSB, M, carta de alta fallida de CTPSB, N, boleto de la Policía Estatal de Connecticut, O, detalle de caso pendiente judicial y P, notas de progreso del CTPSB.
Do you need to continue this hearing to obtain any additional evidence?
No, we do not.
Thank you. There's one in the last.
We have no witnesses.
No tenemos testigo.
So at this time, the state will have an opportunity to make a short statement and testify with respect to probable cause in the spirit of the allegations. I am going to swear in Pio Hudobenko as well as Mr. Padilla in case he would like to speak today.
En este momento el Estado tendrá la oportunidad de abordar acerca de causa probable. So voy a juramentar al oficial Hudobenko y a la defensa.
So can you please raise your right hand?
Por favor, puede levantar su mano derecha.
You solemnly swear, solemnly affirm as the case to be the evidence you shall give during this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God upon penalty of perjury.
Jura solemnemente o sinceramente afirma, según sea el caso, que la evidencia que usted dará en este caso será la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad, que así lo ayude Dios o bajo penalidad de perjurio.
Oro.
Thank you. Put your hand down. So Pio Hudobenko, would you like to say anything?
Sure. Just briefly, Mr. Padilla by the evidence, has violated multiple conditions of his release. He's admitted to consuming alcohol. He's allowed his GPS to shut down. Was placed on GPS for violating multiple motor vehicle laws and never notifying me of that fact. He's been in contact with minor children on multiple occasions over multiple months and even traveled out of state with them. Mr. Padilla's actions, are evidenced by his own words, written and spoken, in the videos that have been provided as evidence in the sworn statements that have been transcribed. And I think, the evidence in its totality just illustrate the risk he poses to public safety and the disregard he has for the law and for his parole conditions.
Mr. Padilla tiene múltiples violaciones de sus acuerdos de libertad condicional, ha consumido alcohol, ha tenido varios incidentes donde su unidad de GPS se apaga, ha estado en múltiples infracciones de vehículo de motor, donde yo no he sido notificado, ha estado en contacto con menores en múltiples ocasiones, donde también en ciertas ocasiones salió del estado de Connecticut sin haberlo informado. También esto está grabado en video y transcrito y firmado por él. La evidencia muestra que él presenta un riesgo y que no está siguiendo las instrucciones que se le han dado en su supervisión.
So it's now defense's opportunity if you'd like to testify with respect to probable cause and severity of the allegations.
La oportunidad de la defensa de testificar en relación a causa probable y la severidad de las ofensas.
For ease of interpretation, I will address probable cause and seriousness charge by charge.
Voy a hablar acerca de la causa probable cargo por cargo.
As to charge 1, I don't believe 1 3-hour, 30-minute shutdown is necessarily serious in the near year and a half that he's been out on parole.
Yo entiendo que en el cargo número 1 de GPS, una violación de 3 horas y media de que se apagara el dispositivo de GPS es suficientemente serio después de estar en 1 año y medio bajo supervisión.
Regarding charge 2, I have no comment as to probable cause. However, this missed mental health evaluation occurred 18 months ago. I would imagine that he did have subsequently a mental health evaluation over the past 18 months. So those comments apply to both charge 2 and charge 6.
En el cargo número 2 de participación de programa, no tengo comentarios, pero entiendo que había una evaluación de salud mental en los pasados 2 meses. Por lo tanto, esto aplica a los cargos mencionados anteriormente.
Under charge 3 for obey all laws, notification of arrest, the commonplace understanding of the term arrest would have meant he was taken into custody. He was merely given a ticket here and a ticket for infractions. And so I don't believe it meets the elements for obey the laws, notification of arrests.
En el cargo número 3, obedecer todas las leyes. Entiendo cuando se habla acerca del término de arresto, esto significa que una persona ha sido detenida y puesta bajo custodia. A él solamente se le dio una infracción o un boleto, por lo tanto esto no cumple con los elementos de causa probable.
I have no comment as to the remaining charges.
No tengo más comentarios en relación a los demás cargos.
Thank you.
Sir, do you wish to say anything, sir, about this, Mr. Padilla?
Mr. Padilla, ¿usted desea decir algo en relación a esto?
Sí.
Speak now.
Es un momento para hablar.
Sí, yo voy a hablar sobre el GPS. El GPS, él sabía que yo trabajaba. Tenía 2 trabajos y no tenía mucho tiempo de cargar el GPS. Y en el mensaje, yo le escribí a él a las 2 de la mañana que el GPS estaba sonando y que se iba a apagar. Y él me dijo, no, está bien. Me respondió en el mensaje que pueden chequearle el teléfono de él, que él me respondió, no, tiene 85% de batería, está bien. Y después él me sale ahora con esto que el GPS apagó varias veces. Sabe que yo trabajo de 4 de la tarde a 5 de la mañana y entro en el otro trabajo de 8 a 3 y media de la tarde. Porque le dije a él, yo puedo cargarlo. Y según puse a cargarlo, me botaron del trabajo.
I wanted to talk about the GPS. He knew that I was working 2 jobs at the moment and that it was hard for me to charge my GPS. And I wrote a message to him that I was telling him that the GPS was making a certain noise. And he told me that it was okay, that the battery was at 85%. And I was working, my first job was from 4 p.m. to 5 a.m. And then my second job was from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Then I told him that I was willing to charge the GPS, and then I was let go of my job.
Thank you, sir.
Y tengo otra. No sé. De la bebida, yo estaba diciendo de la bebida. Sí, yo estaba bebiendo, yo le admití que yo bebí, pero que yo le estaba diciendo a él que yo estaba pasando por un proceso malo. A mí, hace como 2 meses atrás, me mataron el hermano, y hace como una semana atrás, el jueves que me gestó él, la mamá mía estaba en el entierro y estaba tratando de ir también. Yo estoy pasando por un proceso malo, que yo le estaba explicando a él, y todo el tiempo él me decía, que si tú no estás guardando dinero, que vas otra vez para la media casa. ¿Qué frustración es esa? Estás diciéndome todo el tiempo que me ve, tú vas para media casa. ¿Qué Parole dice eso a alguien que está tratando de echar para adelante? Yo encuentro que todas las puertas están cerradas.
Mr. Padilla, usted dijo que quién falleció, discúlpeme, de su familia.
Esta semana pasada, el día que me encejaron, era el entierro de la mamá mía.
In regards of the alcohol, I know that I was drinking, but I admitted to him that I was going through a difficult time. Last week, it was my mother's funeral, and I was going through a really difficult time at the moment. And then I was being told all the time that if you cannot basically, if you cannot get it together, you're gonna end up in a halfway house. What type of parole officer can be telling you that you're gonna be sent to a halfway house? What type of motivation is that?
So, sir, the remainder of the charges, there were admissions on videotape. Do you have any evidence or statement or defenses to any of that?
Señora, en relación a la evidencia, estas son admisiones que están grabadas en video, donde usted confesa o admite estos comentarios.
En el teléfono de él y en el teléfono mío, que él lo tiene, ahí está el mensaje que yo le estoy escribiendo a las 2 de la mañana, que el GPS estaba apagando. Y él puede enseñar esos mensajes, que él todavía los tiene.
He has my cell phone, and he can show you the text message that I wrote to him around 2 a.m. telling him that my GPS was giving me problems. He can show it to you. He has my cell phone.
Do you have any other comment as to any of the other charges where your admissions were videotaped?
¿Tiene algún otro comentario en relación a los otros cargos donde usted admitió esto en video?
So, el otro de CRT, sí, porque yo terminé el programa de CRT. El programa que me dice que yo falté era que yo estaba en la media casa, y esos fueron los primeros años, el primer año que yo salí, y yo no entendía cómo salir de la media casa y buscar los pases para ir atrás. Y entonces ellos abusaron de eso y no me explicaron que yo tenía que ir a la computadora y chequear los días míos si yo tengo appointment. Que después que me dieron la multa esa que ellos le dicen, ahí fue que ellos me explicaron. Pero nunca me explicaron, tú tienes que ir a CRT, tienes que buscar un pase. Yo no sabía nada del proceso, nadie me explicó.
I just wanted to say, when it comes to CRT, that I finished the program, and it is true. Basically, that was in the beginning, the first year that I went to the halfway house. I really didn't understand what I was supposed to do. That I was supposed to get passes in order to go to the CRT, and then there was a computer that I was supposed to go and see what was that I was required to do. Nobody explained any of this to me.
Are you all set, sir?
Sería todo, señor.
Sí.
Thank you. All right, so I've listened to testimony and reviewed all the evidence, so I'm going to announce my findings.
Escuché todo el testimonio, voy a anunciar mis hallazgos.
So I make a finding of probable cause on charge 1 GPS based on evidence presented in support of the violation, exhibits A, E, F, and H.
Hago un hallazgo de causa probable en la condición número 1, dirección de salida, GPS, basado en la evidencia y testimonio de este cargo, específicamente evidencia A, E, F y H.
On charge 2, condition and release correction program participation, I make a no finding of probable cause based on the charge not meeting the elements. I don't see any instruction to participate in a program as this discusses attending a mental health evaluation.
En el cargo número 2, condición de dirección de salida, participación de programa, no hago hallazgo de causa probable ya que este cargo no cumple con los elementos. No veo en ningún momento que el ofensor haya sido instruido de participar en el programa de salud mental.
On charge 3, conditional bail laws, notification of arrest, I make a no finding of probable cause based on the charge not meeting the elements. The offender was not arrested for a criminal offense. He received a citation for infractions violation.
En el cargo número 3, condición de obedecer todas las leyes, notificación de arresto, no hago hallazgo de causa probable ya que el cargo no cumple con el elemento. El ofensor no fue arrestado por una ofensa criminal, él solamente recibió una citación por una infracción o violación.
I make a finding of probable cause on charge 4, travel, based on the evidence presented in support of the violation, exhibits A, J, K.
En el cargo número 4, condición de viaje, hago hallazgo de causa probable basado en la evidencia, en apoyo a este cargo, evidencia A, J y K.
I make a finding of probable cause on charge 5, no consumption of alcoholic beverages, based on evidence provided, exhibits A, J, K.
Cargo número 5, no consumo de bebidas alcohólicas, hago hallazgo de causa probable basado en la evidencia y evidencia A, J y K.
I make a finding of probable cause, charge 6, mental health evaluation, based on evidence presented in support of the violation, exhibits A and E.
Cargo número 6, evaluación de salud mental, hago un hallazgo de causa probable basado en la evidencia y testimonio, evidencia A y E.
I make a finding of probable cause, charge 7, no contact with minors, based on evidence presented, exhibits A, K, J, and I.
El cargo número 7, no contacto con menores, hago hallazgo de causa probable basado en la evidencia en apoyo a este cargo, evidencia A, K, J, E, I.
I make a finding of probable cause, charge 8, problem sexual behavior treatment, based on evidence presented, exhibits A, G, M, K, J, and I.
En el cargo número 8, tratamiento de PSB, hago un hallazgo de causa probable basado en la evidencia y testimonio, evidencia A, G, M, K, J, E, I.
I find the acts are serious enough to warrant revocation. Attorney should be detained while you wait for revocation hearing. At the rev hearing, myself or another hearing examiner will determine if you violated conditions of your parole. If so, the hearing examiner will make recommendations regarding whether your parole should be revoked and what, if any, sanctions should be imposed.
Encuentro que los actos son suficientemente serios para garantizar una revocación y también he determinado que usted debe permanecer detenido mientras espera una audiencia de revocación. En la audiencia de revocación, yo u otro examinador de audiencia determinará si usted violó las condiciones de su libertad condicional. De ser así, el examinador de audiencias hará recomendaciones con respecto a si su libertad condicional debe ser revocada y qué sanciones deben ser impuestas.
So we will schedule your revocation hearings, a technical violation within 60 business days of your return to custody date, and you will be notified of the date as well as your attorney. P.O. Hudobenko, will you be at the revocation hearing?
Yes, I'll plan to be there. Thank you.
Okay.
Su audiencia de revocación será programada dentro de 60 días laborables por una violación técnica. Usted recibirá la disposición de la audiencia, la cual tendrá una fecha tentativa establecida.
Do you have any questions?
¿Tiene alguna pregunta?
¿Cómo eso de la violación técnica? ¿Qué es eso?
What do you mean about a technical violation? What is that?
You don't have any pending charges, so I can schedule you for a revocation hearing. That's
Eso significa que usted no tiene ningún cargo pendiente con la justicia, por lo tanto se puede mover a programar su audiencia de revocación.
Sir, once they schedule a hearing date within the 60 days of your remand, I will contact you and my social worker will contact you again to discuss your defenses at the next hearing.
Señor, su
Ok.
audiencia de revocación va a ser programada dentro de los 60 días de su regreso a custodia. En este momento, yo y también mi trabajadora social se estará poniendo en contacto con usted para discutir su defensa.
Feel free to call my office if you have any questions.
Llame a mi oficina si tiene alguna pregunta.
Good luck, sir.
You're all set.
Sería todo.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Hudobenko.
Thank you.
Suerte.
Bueno.
Rob,
Hey, Alfonso, how you doing? Good morning.
good. How you doing?
Good.
Are you up again, or am I up?
You're up.
Okay.
I'm just wanted to
All
say
right.
hi.
Just check. Just making sure.
Yeah, I'm up again. Take care.
Morning.
Good morning, Mike Singer. Can you hear me? All right.
Yeah,
All right.
you look kind of fuzzy, but I could see you.
Hold
Can
on
hear
one
you.
second. Yeah, hold on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Inmate Sena?
No, not yet. We have an emergency in the facility right now.
Okay.
So probably gonna be a minute before we can bring him up. So I'm wondering if you guys wanted to hang out tight, at least 10 or 15 minutes to see if we can go scoop him up.
Yes, I have another hearing at 9:45. Would it be easier for me to, I mean, is it gonna be 15 minutes or more, do you think?
It's probably, at this moment, it's probably gonna be more. So if you can leave us for last would be best, if that's okay with you guys. What time are you thinking that can accommodate you guys?
Well, I was gonna swap, I was gonna go do 9:45 when I have, and then come back after that case is done.
Okay, so maybe you're thinking maybe 10:30?
No, it's only like 15, 20 minutes. Well, it'd be half an hour from now.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. I'll try to see what I can do. I'll try to scoop them up, bring them up by then.
Okay,
All right, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
thanks. So Attorney Sirica, I'm gonna go to Garner and then, because in 5 minutes, I'm gonna connect, and then I'm gonna try to go back to MacDougall.
Okay.
So I'll see you in a little bit.
All righty.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am skipping to coffee right now. There's an
Perfect.
issue at MacDougall, so.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning. Is this for coffee?
Yes, it is.
All right, if you give me a few minutes, he'll be down. We just had like one of our codes go off.
Okay,
All right.
no problem.
I'll have someone bring him down. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Coffey.
Good morning.
Morning. We're here for your preliminary hearing. I have your attorney here, so we're going to get started, okay?
Okay.
Good morning. I am P.O. Meissner, a hearing examiner for the Board of Paroles and Paroles. This is a preliminary hearing concerning Coffey Kyle, number 434-155, today is February 19, 2025. This hearing is being conducted via video at the BOPP Central Office in the Garner Correctional Institution. This is a public hearing. Public access to this hearing is available via video live stream. Can you please state your full name and DOC inmate number for the record?
Kyle Stewart Coffey, 434-155.
Can you have counsel here today? Please identify yourself.
Yes, Hannah Dean from the Public Defender's Parole Revocation Unit on behalf of Mr. Coffey. Good morning.
This is a preliminary hearing which receive purposes under Connecticut law. It's to determine if there is probable cause to believe you commit an act that violated conditions of your parole, to determine the act is sufficiently serious to warrant revocation of your parole, and to determine if you should be held in prison pending further proceedings. The state, not you, has a responsibility to show there's probable cause to believe you violated one or more conditions of your parole. If I do not find probable cause, I'll reinstate your parole, which release you and place you back on parole supervision. If I find probable cause and determine the act is sufficiently serious to warrant revocation, you may be held in prison pending further proceedings. You should know preliminary hearing is a adversarial proceeding, and you state this hearing can be used against you. This hearing is being recorded. So this is the procedure. I'm going to read you your rights. Then we're going to review the parole violation charge the state your appeal is bringing against you. I will review and identify exhibits filed for the record. Counsel will then have an opportunity to just issue probable cause in suit of the allegations. At the conclusion of the hearing, I will inform you my findings, which are based on the available evidence. Do you have any questions about the purpose or procedure?
No.
You have important rights. You have the right to have an attorney present. You have counsel here. You have a right to receive the written notice of charges of violation. Did you receive the written notice?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a right to view the evidence against you. You have a right to submit evidence in support of your case. At this hearing, you have a right to call and examine voluntary witnesses and cross-examine adverse witnesses. Do you understand these rights? Now you're ready to move forward?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so now review the charge the state your appeal is bringing against you and the information underlying each charge. Charge 1, obey all laws, obedience to the law. Your charging officer reported Bethel Police Department held an active arrest warrant for you for failure to register, failure to verify address. Bethel Police Department's warrant indicates you were required to verify your address with the Connecticut Department of Emergency Services in Public Protection Sex Offender Registry Unit no later than April 29, 2024. You failed to return the required verification letter by said dates, therefore you're in violation of CTSOR registration requirements. On 1/28/25, you were remanded to actual custody and served on the warrant held by Bethel PD. And the state has filed the following exhibits pre-marked for identification purposes as Exhibit A, remand to custody order, B, parole condition, C, notice of parole violation, D, parole violation report, E, Bethel PD arrest warrant case incident report, F, a state of Connecticut Board of Pardons parole decision information summary. Did you receive notice of parole violation report, and those other documents I marked, and did you review those?
Yes.
Do you need to continue to obtain any additional evidence?
We do not.
All right, we have no witnesses. So due to, you had the warrant, so there's a finding on that charge due to the warrant. I did receive additional information from your attorney, and it shows that on 1/29/25, you were convicted of failure to register and received an unconditional discharge for that. So I do want to put on that record that was received, and I do have the conviction for that. So there is a finding on that charge due to your conviction on 1/29/25 for the failure to register. So it is now defense's opportunity if you'd like to testify with respect to severity of the allegations.
Yes, thank you very much. So that's correct. The matter was resolved on 1/29. My client pled to 1 count of failure to register and received a UCD, so no time to serve, no probation or anything like that. The situation involves conduct dating back to April 2024. This was unfortunate where my client allegedly was out of compliance for only 9 days before getting back into full compliance. We also, I do just want to note for the record, we are a little bit unsure why this violation ever came to be. My client and his mother both indicate that they had sent the materials into the registry. They're a little confused why he got this violation. However, as soon as he received it, he did get back into full compliance. I also had sent the sex offender registry information to show currently that he is fully compliant with it. Despite that, he did want to go ahead and plead to this at arraignment to get this matter resolved. However, I would argue that this conduct is not serious enough to warrant revocation or further incarceration of my client. As I noted before, this is only a 9-day span we're talking about for this alleged violation. He's now fully compliant and has been ever since. He got a UCD in court, so no time to serve. As well, I think it's worth noting his PO on the PVR paperwork is recommending a light penalty for him. It's been about a year that he's been out in the community, a little over a year. He risks losing the housing he has through the REACH program that his parole officer had helped him obtain. So I am asking that he be released as soon as possible. I don't think that this is sufficiently serious enough, and he was doing very well in the community, is now into compliance, and he is not a danger or threat to society in any way. So I would ask that this not be serious enough to hold him and he be released. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I do want to note there are no previous violations or misconduct. As was stated, he was out there for approximately a year. I do not see per our records any community release prior failures. Based on this information, and testimony. I am going to find the acts are not serious enough to warrant revocation. As such, your parole is going to be reinstated today. You are discretionary parole. Therefore, that means that this is an on or after like date, just like your discretionary parole date was an on or after date. So I am going to have you, reinstated today, but you can leave anytime today, the next couple of days, whenever your PO can get you back out. And hopefully you can return back to your reach place you said you can still go back to.
I tried contacting P.O. Sullivan to confirm with her. I left her a message yesterday. I haven't gotten word back. I spoke to my client's mom who'd been in contact with her. But we believe the bed is still there, but for a very limited period of time. I would ask that in the event that housing is gone, that he be placed in like a halfway house. But I believe he is hoping to utilize that reach bed if it's still available. I believe it is at this point.
What area is this in?
The reach house was in Torrington.
So what halfway house area would you want to go to, sir, if you can't go back to that reach bed?
I don't know because I'm unfamiliar with any of that.
I think probably Waterbury would be the closest to where you are staying in Torrington. This is just a plan B in case, worst case scenario, the reach bed is gone. So that way you're not released to the streets.
Your parole officer is going to talk to you anyways, obviously before you leave. So they'll come see you. Do you have any questions?
Is it possible that my brother can pick me up?
No, your PO is going to come talk to you.
Okay.
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 Because they have to determine where you're going to go and all that.
Okay.
So you can talk to your parole officer. I mean, maybe if you have a sponsor, you can give your sponsor's information, maybe. You have a sponsor?
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. Your brother, you want a sponsor to his place?
No, I can't sponsor to his place. My technical sponsor is in Vermont at the moment. I'm going through a process of getting transferred to Vermont. So I guess I don't have a sponsor.
So you got to wait on that then and do that separate. I can't put you over there right now. But talk to your officer when you go back out about it though, about transferring still.
Okay.
Okay, so you're all set for today. You should be released soon, okay?
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm just gonna check back. I have to check back with MacDougall. I had to skip them, so I gotta see if they're there. If they're not there, I'm gonna proceed to Osborn.
Sounds good.
Good morning.
Morning, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. For Sena, right?
Yes.
Okay, he's on his way.
Oh, perfect, thank you.
They're already there. It's not on his last one to dust.
All right.
Morning, Mr. Sena.
Good morning. Yeah, took me a minute. I got lost.
No, that's okay. You're here, so We're going to get started with your revocation hearing, okay?
All right.
Good morning, I'm P.O. Meisinger, hearing examiner for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. Revocation hearing concerning Sena Alex number 380119, says February 19, 2025. This hearing is being conducted via video at the BOPP Central Office, MacDougall Walker Correctional Institution. This is a public hearing, public access. This hearing is available via video live stream. Can you please state your full name and DOC inmate number for the record?
Alexis Sena, 380119.
You counsel here today. Please identify yourself for the record.
Sure. Attorney Alfonzo Sirica, Public Defender with the Parole Revocation Unit on behalf of Mr. Sena.
This is a revocation hearing to determine whether you have violated conditions of your release. I will review and make findings of fact as to each of the charges against you. The state, not you, has responsibility to prove the allegations by a preponderance of evidence, that is. The better or weaker evidence must establish that more probable than not the allegation is true. If I do not find there is a preponderance of evidence to support a violation of one or more conditions of your parole, I'll reinstate your parole, which is release you, place you back on parole supervision. If I find that you have violated one or more conditions of your parole, I will consider whether or not your parole should be revoked. If I recommend revocation, I'll make a recommendation as to appropriate sanction, and my recommendation will be given to a panel for a final decision. If the panel wishes to impose a sanction beyond my recommendation, a supplemental hearing would be provided to justify additional confinement. So it's the procedure. I'm going to read you your rights. Then we will review the parole violation charges, state your appeals bringing against you. I will review and identify exhibits filed for the record. Counsel will then have an opportunity to present relevant testimony. After considering all the evidence presented, I'll announce my findings. If I find you violated one or more conditions of your parole, counsel will have an opportunity to speak to your background and history. Do you have any questions about the purpose or procedure?
No.
Okay. Your important rights today: the right to have an attorney present. You have counsel here. You have a right to receive the written notice of charges of violation. Did you receive that written notice?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. You have a right to view the evidence against you. You have a right to submit evidence in support of your case. At this hearing, you have a right to call and examine voluntary witnesses or cross-examine diverse witnesses. Do you understand these rights? Now you're ready to move forward?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll now review the charge, state your appeals bringing against you, and the information underlying each charge. So on the release direction, charge 1, it's absconder. Your charging officer reported on 10/21/24. You were transported via ambulance from Maple Street Halfway House to Bridgeport Hospital due to complaints of difficulty breathing at approximately 2:20 p.m. Halfway House staff found out approximately 11 p.m. that you had left the hospital earlier that evening, approximately 7:45 p.m. without being seen by the physician. You failed to return to the Maple Street Halfway House, which is your only parole-approved residence, and you failed to reside at the residence since that time. You failed to contact your assigned PO and Halfway House staff, which means your current whereabouts are unknown. Charge 2 under bail laws obedience to the law. Your charging officer report on 11/9/24, you were arrested by Bridgeport Police Department and charged with interfering with an officer resisting. You were issued a promise to appear in court with a court hearing date of 11/18/24, which you did not appear to, resulting in bail commissioner's letter being sent. Charge 3 additional conditions halfway house placement. Your charging officer reported on 10/14/24. You signed out of the Maple Street Halfway House at 8:15 a.m. for your methadone treatment at Liberations. Your turn time was 9:30 a.m. Halfway House staff was informed by the staff from Liberations that you never arrived for your appointment. Your whereabouts remained unknown until you called staff at 8:38 p.m. from St. Vincent's Hospital. Hospital staff then informed Halfway House staff that you had arrived at the hospital via ambulance at approximately 2 p.m. that afternoon for aggressive behavior and intoxication by drug. The only place your community pass was approved for was Liberations. And the state is following exhibits pre-marked for identification purposes as Exhibit A, remand of custody order. B is notice of parole violation / parole violation report, which I did add. Exhibit C, notice of parole rights. D, PCS conditions signed. E, signed halfway house agreement. F, Maple Street incident report 10/14/24. G, Maple Street incident report 10/14/24 updated. H, hospital discharge paperwork. I, halfway house infraction 10/15/24. J, Maple Street incident report 10/21/24. K, Maple Street incident report 10/27/24. L, revocation summary 12/28/23. M, revocation summary 2/27/23. And Bridgeport police report dated 11/9/24. Did you receive notice of parole violation report, and those other documents I marked, and did you review them?
Yeah, I did. I seen it came in the mail stating all my previous violations. And
yeah,
even including my last one, which was the last revocation hearing I had, and everything that was said in that revocation hearing was in the letter as well.
Okay, good. And counsel has found the following exhibit pre-marked for identification purposes. Defense Exhibit 1, list of parole accomplishments and future plans for parole reinstatement. Do you need to continue this hearing to obtain any additional evidence?
No.
Okay, we have no witnesses. I'm going to put on the record, I did receive an addendums from PCFs. The addendums reported on 11/15/24, the BOPP did issue an absconder warrant for the offender. On January 3rd, 2025, all the criminal charges were nollied. So now is the defense's opportunity to speak to any of the evidence submitted at this time, if you'd like to.
Yes, thank you. I do agree with charge number 2, that interfering charge that was nollied in court, and that is the correct date, January 3rd of 2025. So just briefly regarding the first part, I know this is going to come up at the second part of the hearing at the time frame that my client was out from October to November. I had a couple conversations with Mr. Sena. Alexis, is it fair to say when you were released back on parole in October, you were still immediately actively using narcotics?
Yeah.
Okay. And why did you end up in the hospital?
Well, because when I went on one of my passes, like I said, like I told the last parole officer, well, on my last
If you're
revocation
gonna speak, let me, I'm gonna swear you
I'm
in if you're
sorry,
gonna speak.
I
It's
thought you
okay.
swore me,
Just
yes.
raise your right hand for me.
I
I'm
apologize.
gonna put you under oath so you could
Yes.
speak. You solemnly swear, solemnly affirm, as the case may be, the evidence you shall give concerning this case should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God upon penalty of perjury.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so on my last revocation hearing, I was speaking to the officer, like, you know, the same camera and whatnot, and they had asked me what parole house where I want to go to when I before I get out of prison. And I told them anywhere but Bridgeport, because Bridgeport is the area where I started using drugs at, where I started to use, you know, crack cocaine and fentanyl and methamphetamines and all different types of drugs. It was like my first, that was where I started using drugs at. So like every time I walk out the halfway house, like I see people that I know, you know, I get triggers, I get addiction triggers, which I learned about addiction triggers when I went to the App Foundation for 25 days. And when I was there and I came back out, I was clean for like 6 months. I just ended up picking up a new charge for fake money, you know, and they violated me for that, which I copped out to. But what I was trying to explain to the officer was that halfway house, specifically Maple House, it doesn't suit me, because every time I walk out the halfway house, I see people that I was getting high with, people that I was using drugs with, people that, you know, me, I grew up in a different type of environment as a kid. I grew up with no family, you know, like my mother and my father, they're in Dominican Republic. My family out here, like my grandfather, my grandmother passed away. So all I really got is my grandfather. And I get lonely a lot, you know. I feel like as a kid growing up, I never really had attention. Like I never felt that love, that need of love, that genuine love from my family or my peers. So when I get it from somebody else, I accept it, you know, and then I end up doing stupid things, you know what I mean? Like I end up going out there and I see somebody that I used to hang out with, or that I used to go out with, and then one thing leads to another. But this day specifically, I wasn't even trying to get high. I wasn't stressed out, I wasn't depressed. I was just, you know, I was just walking towards I was walking towards the App Foundation, well, not the App Foundation, the methadone program, and I seen this girl named Sherry, and she had offered me a cigarette, and she had all her loose cigarettes inside of a bag, and kind of find out she had fentanyl in that bag. So when I smoked the cigarette, I guess it had fentanyl residue in there, and I overdosed. Then I started, you know, I went into a mental trip and I started bugging, and they called the cops for me in an ambulance. After they woke me up, they called the cops for me in an ambulance, and I went to the hospital, which I explained to the staff at the halfway house. All I wanted to do when I was there the whole time in the halfway house, I kept on having dispute with my counselors, because I wanted to go look for a job, and they never wanted to let me go look for a job.
Alexis,
and I tried to tell them.
Alexis, hold on, not to cut you off. You're jumping ahead.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I know you want. The reason why you trying to get to you ended up in the hospital because it was for an overdose situation.
Yeah, it was for an overdose. Yeah, it was. And that right there, that's what, like, the whole thing, that's when I started using again. Started getting high again. I started smoking crack cocaine. I started sniffing fentanyl. I just went berserk. Yeah.
The absconder charge, they said from October 21st of 2024, But in fact, according to the narrative, I know you ended up in the hospital in an overdose situation. It looks like October 27th, I believe, at roughly the early hours of the morning, about 3:30 a.m., you did attempt to go back to the halfway house, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, hold on. Let me ask the questions because the hearing examiner kind of has to follow what I'm trying to do here. And you did ask if you can return. They made some phone calls. You were still actively using, and you ended up leaving again, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I left, but that's because the counselor told me that this is exactly what she said. Y'all, if you don't want to believe me, that's fine. But she told me to shoot myself in the head and to go turn myself into the police department. I told her no. I wanted to speak to Caranta, my parole officer. Okay. And she told me that I can't do that, to leave. So I left. And then when I read the report in my cell, I'm like, yo, this is not what happened. She didn't say that. That lady didn't say that. That lady didn't come back and tell me that Caranta said that I could come in and take a urine. Because if that was the case, I would have went in. I was homeless. I was hungry. I was tired of using drugs. I was scared. I was scared that I was going to die out there. So I just wanted to go back where I was, like, you know, where the place where I was getting at least some type of love, you know, even if it was from the halfway house.
All right. So that is the correct date, though, October 27th, when you attempted to go back. Okay.
Yeah, like 3 days later. Yeah.
All right. And we'll get to the second part of this a little more. My singer, as indicated, it's an individual who came right out of the gate using, and after speaking to him, I know it'll be for the second part of the hearing. He is interested in doing, he needs an inpatient program is what he needs. He kind of came out right out of the gate, right back to using. And I just want to put on the record, I understand he's charged with absconder. I know what the definition is. He never left the state of Connecticut, did not go to the Dominican Republic to see his family there. He attempted to go back on October 27th. We're not disputing the fact that he did leave again, but he was in the general area. And it's also indicated in the narrative, in the parole violation report. It looks like someone did contact the Maple Street halfway house and indicated the unknown female at 10:30 in the morning indicated that my client was around the corner using drugs right near the halfway house. So he's not hiding the fact that he has a serious addiction. I'm not making excuses for Mr. Sena. He realizes he's good, you know, there's going to be a sanction, but he is looking to get out of the Bridgeport area. I'll cover that in the second part of the hearing, and is looking for some type of inpatient help. Thank you. Thank you. I want to be heard about his background at the appropriate time.
Okay. All right. So I read all the evidence by the state, and I have listened to testimony today. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to announce my findings. So on that charge 1, I do find that you violated the condition of absconder based on the BOPP issuing an absconder warrant and evidence provided in support of the charge, which is exhibits B, D, J, and K. On charge 2, I do find you violated conditional B instead of the law based on evidence provided, exhibits B, D, and N. Although the charge is not light, I find the behavior meets the elements of the offense. On charge 3, I do find you violated condition halfway house placement based on evidence provided, which is exhibits D, E, F, G, and I. So that includes the fact-finding portion of the hearing. Before I make a recommendation, counsel will have an opportunity to speak to your background and history. This purpose part of the hearing is to help determine what outcome I will recommend. So if you would like to at this time.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Sena, he's 31 years old. He's born in Massachusetts, and then he was raised in the Dominican Republic, and then came back to Connecticut, it looks like in 2009. He was at the Connecticut Renaissance Halfway House program there at the Maple Street House. As I indicated, does not want to be in the Bridgeport area. That is what triggers his addiction.
So what area?
Yep. He is looking to go Hartford, I believe he indicated his first choice, or Middletown, or Alexis, do you want to flip that around?
Yeah, because I wanted to see, if you don't mind, like if I could go either to Middletown or Torrington, somewhere.
Middletown's not a area that I can place you in. That's not a halfway house area. So you're saying you want Hartford, or do you not want Hartford?
No, because Hartford, everybody in the Poway, I'm not keeps telling me that there's like a lot of drug spots right down the street in Hartford. And I'm just like, when I was in Middletown, I was there for like 2 weeks, and you know, it was good. It was, I don't know if the Eddy Center is not a halfway house no more, but when I was, it was the Eddy Center.
But that's not, we don't place immediately in Eddy shelter. That's more of a shelter that, like, it's the last call placement. That's not really like a halfway house that we That's like if we can't put you anywhere else, you'd have to go there. But, so you saying you don't want to go to Hartford? You want to go to Waterbury? Do you want to go to Norwich?
I'll go to Norwich.
New Haven?
Norwich, okay.
You want Norwich?
Yeah, I go to Norwich, yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to get out, if you don't mind me speaking, but I just wanted
But you
to get out.
need to be aware that there's drugs everywhere. There's drugs in all the cities. I mean, you're going to have to learn how to deal with this. I understand you want to go to inpatient. Unfortunately, I can't just put you in inpatient. You should be clean right now, which are you clean right now?
I mean, yeah, I am. Yeah, I am.
So you're clean. You need to get out there and get involved when you go out in programming immediately. It doesn't necessarily have to be inpatient, but in some type of programming.
And we're going to cover that.
Inpatient people who are actively using. So.
Can I say something? I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt or be rude or nothing like that.
Go ahead.
I'm just like, you know, like it's been very hard for me to like really transition from, you know, being the person who I was before to being this new person. I don't like to commit crimes. As you can see, I didn't commit that one crime while I was out there. The whole time I was out there, I was getting high and trying to look for work. My main issue is basically just housing, you know? I've been homeless almost all my life.
I know the thing is we're giving you housing, but you're leaving. You're not making the right choices. I understand that you're saying that drugs are the cause of all this and all your problems. But if you're not staying around, you need to learn how to address these problems correctly. Because we are giving you housing. We're not dumping you on the streets. That's why you're on parole. So we're trying to give you have to go with the treatment that is provided by parole and the placements and actually go to these places that we're putting you in. So it's up to you to decide what you're going to do eventually.
You're absolutely right.
So let your attorney get going on this, and then you can, if there's anything else to say,
let me add a couple more things, Alexis. I think the things you're going to say is what you discussed with my social worker, and then if I miss something, you can add. While he was previously out, he was sponsored by his grandfather. As he indicated in 2022, he did successfully complete the App Foundation inpatient substance abuse program in New Haven. And while he was out, though, regardless of his addiction, he does have a pretty good work history. Looks like he would work part-time at Valvoline in 2021. 2022, he did work full-time at Dobson Irrigation, which was a full-time position. And in 2023, had a full-time as a mechanic in Bridgeport, where he was working 6 days a week. So he does have a decent work history. Did report to us he received medication-assisted treatment, methadone at the Liberation Program. And he also reported participated in an outpatient group at Connecticut Renaissance in Bridgeport. He did, it appears like in December 2021 to March of 2022, he did begin some outpatient individual psychotherapy at Connecticut Renaissance. He did have a clinician, Ms. Blackham. He did do 6 individual sessions. He also did a psychiatric evaluation in January of 2022 with Dr. Guerrero, and we did receive documentation through my social worker that he did make progress in treatment, as evidenced by the increased level of sharing he did in his session. So he was involved in some treatment, and as Mr. Sena also put on the record, he did complete the App Foundation inpatient program in New Haven. So I indicated previously, I believe he indicated he wants to go to Norwich. He does not want to be in the Bridgeport area. That seems to be his downfall there. He does want to obtain his GED, and he does want to enroll in barber school to obtain his barber license. He's amenable to all job opportunities, and he does want to begin some substance abuse treatment. I do agree with you, P.O. Meisinger, unless you're actively using inpatient is not step. So it's going to have to start with some outpatient services, Alexis, and then they're going to make the determination if you need to go inpatient, but you're going to need to start with some outpatient treatment first. Okay.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just want to stay away from Bridgeport. It was like every time I go out there, I just see people. I'm not really too much of a social guy. I just see the old people that used to act like they love me, but if they really did love me, they would never offer me drugs. You know, they would never be like, yo, here, Alex, here, do this, get high for this since you're feeling sad, you know? That's why I just want to stay away from all of them.
All right, so we're going to attempt that. I believe she's going to put down Norwich and hopefully get yourself back on track because you're on supervision till 2029. I know you know that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know that, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So I'll be right with you, my recommendation. All right, so I've reviewed all the evidence and I have listened to testimony that was provided. I'm going to put on the record, the offender does have 2 prior parole violations on this period of supervision since August of 21. One for is criminal, one is absconding and returned with new charges. You did receive a misconduct. You were only in the community for about 10 months before you absconded from parole supervision. We're gone for approximately a month before returning to custody on new charges, which ended up being nollied. This is the 3rd time you've been returned to custody by arrest. So it is concerning that you're not returning yourself in, you're being arrested. That's the only reason why you're coming back. So that is a little bit concerning to me. Per our records, you do have 2 prior failed community release attempts. This is your 3rd violation of special parole. As was stated, you are on supervision till March of 2029. Based on the information that I have, and your officer is recommending a substantial period of incarceration. So based on this, I'm going to recommend that parole be revoked. You be re-paroled for September 19th of 2025. It's about a 10-month period of confinement as a sanction. I recommend the following parole conditions: halfway house placement, especially in Norwich, behavior management program for anger management and mental health treatment and medication compliance. My findings will go on the parole board March 6th. So this is a recommendation. The parole board is going to make the decision on what happens. So they can agree with me. They can let you out sooner than that. They can let you out as soon as March if they do choose to. They can also just revoke all special parole as well. I do want to see you back in the community, getting treatment in the community. I also hope that while inside right now, you prepare yourself to go back outside. I hope you get involved in substance abuse treatment in the facility and get started with that prior to you coming out, because I think that you're going to need that.
I've been trying, I've been trying in here, but the wait list is like ridiculous. The tier 2 program has like 1,000 people on it. I've been writing them every week.
You do what you can do. I mean, there are other things you can do in facilities. I know a lot have meetings you can attend. I mean, there are other things that hopefully you can get involved in. You can let them know you had a revocation hearing to be released. Just let them know that in the facility and that you're looking to get in treatment before we do put you out and that you need services. So hopefully they can get you started on something before you're released. I don't know what the board's going to say, but you will know March 6th what their decision is. So the board is going to tell you what your conditions are. You're going to get it in writing about a week after March 6th. And you can talk to your attorney as well. Is there anything you want to add, attorney?
No, it's just that if you give us a call to follow March 7th, that March 6th is a Thursday, they will send us an email. So our office can give you the answer before it comes in writing. So if you get a call into our office on March 7th, one of the secretaries could tell you if the board adopted the recommendation or not. If they don't adopt it, I'll reach out to you and we'll set up a call. But call our office on March 7th. That way you know what's going on, all right? All right,
just make sure if you're having problems, talk to your parole officer out there. Don't run, because we can't get you connected with inpatient services or anything if you're running. So you need to communicate with your PO. If you're in a halfway house, you can still talk to a parole officer. So
I tried to do that twice in Maple Street. I don't know if you know about the staff.
I'm just saying, you can always go to the parole office and go talk to the parole officer. You don't have to go, if you can't go back to the halfway house, go see the parole, where your parole officer is. Go to one of the districts and talk to them about getting you in treatment instead of being out there running around, and it does you no good. And it seems like things get worse for you. So make sure you go talk to the parole officer directly if you're having problems, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, good luck,
I
Alexis.
appreciate you so much.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. I
Take care.
appreciate you.
Good luck, sir. I
Okay.
wish the best for you.
All right, thanks. Y'all have a good day.
You
Take care.
too.
Mike Singer, where you going to, Rob's guy first?
I'm gonna go to Osborn.
Osborn. Okay, I'll stand by.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad it works now.
All right, come on then, Rivera.
Good morning, Mr. Rivera. We're gonna get started with your rev hearing, okay?
Yes.
Good morning, I'm P.O. Meissner, hearing examiner for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. This is a revocation hearing concerning Rivera Victor, number 381602. Today is February 19, 2025. The hearing is being conducted via video at the BOPP Central Office in Osborn Correctional Institution. This is a public hearing and public access. This hearing is available via video live stream. Can you please state your full name and DOC inmate number for the record?
Victor Rivera, 11384, and my inmate number is 381602.
Thank you. And you have counsel here today. Please identify yourself.
Yes, good morning. Public Defender Robert Famiglietti of the Parole Revocation Unit.
This is a revocation hearing to determine whether you have violated conditions of your release. I will review and make findings of facts as to each of the charges against you. The state, not you, has responsibility to prove the allegations by a preponderance of evidence, that is. The better weighted evidence must establish that more probable than not the allegation is true. If I do not find that there is a preponderance of evidence to support a violation of one or more conditions of your parole, I'll reinstate your parole, which is releasing you and place you back on parole supervision. If I find you have violated one or more conditions of your parole, I will consider whether or not your parole should be revoked. If I recommend revocation, I'll make a recommendation as to appropriate sanction, and my recommendation will be given to a panel for a final decision. If the panel wishes to impose a sanction beyond my recommendation, a supplemental hearing would be provided to justify additional confinement. So this is the procedure for today. I'm going to read you your rights. Then we're going to review the parole violation charge the state your PO is bringing against you. I will review and identify exhibits filed.
Yes, I did.
Okay, you have a right to view the evidence. You have a right to submit evidence for your case. At this hearing, you have a right to call and examine voluntary witnesses and cross-examine adverse witnesses. Do you understand these rights, and are you ready to move forward?
Yes.
All right, so now review the charge, state your appeal is bringing against you, and information underlying each charge. So under bail laws, charge 1 obedience to the law. Your charging officer reported on 1/21/22, 10/21/23, 1/20/24, 4/19/24, and 10/19/24. You failed to verify your address with the sex offender registry in violation of your legal requirements. Subsequently, on 12/18/24, you were arrested by the Hartford Police Department and charged accordingly. On 12/19/24, you were arraigned at Hartford GA 14, where probable cause was determined, and you have a next court date of 1/29/25. And the state has filed the following exhibits that are pre-marked for identification purposes as Exhibit A, conditions of special parole. B, remand the actual custody order. C, notice of parole violation. D, parole violation report. E, Hartford PD arrest warrant. And F is judicial pending case detail. Did you receive notice of parole violation report, and those other documents I marked, and did you review those?
Yes, we have.
Okay. And the council has filed the following exhibit pre-marked for identification purposes. Defense Exhibit 1, list of parole accomplishments and future plans for parole reinstatement. Do you need to continue this hearing to obtain any additional evidence?
No, we do not.
Okay. So I do want to put on the record, I received an addendum from PCF. The addendum reported on 1/29/25, the offender was convicted of failure to register, received a 90-day jail sentence with all other charges nullied. The EOS date on this charge is March 17th, 2025. And so now I'm going to turn it over to defense if you'd like to speak to any of the evidence submitted at this time.
No comment as to the preponderance standard.
Okay. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to announce my findings. So on that charge 1, I do find you violated that condition of obedience to the law based on your conviction of failure to register and received a 90-day jail sentence with an EOS date of March 17, 2025. So that includes the fact-finding portion of this hearing. Before I make a recommendation, counsel will have an opportunity to speak to your background and history. This purpose part of the hearing is to help determine what outcome I will recommend. So if you would like to at this time.
Yes, we'd ask that he be released on that 3/17 date. He had been paroled on 10/8/21, about 3 years on parole. And during that whole time, these failures to report occurred. 3 of them were dropped. He pled to count 1 from 2022. His PO was leaving the jail up to the board. No graduated interventions or sanctions in that entire time. Never harmed anyone. He's 41, single. He gets his support from his mother, father, sister, and his longtime girlfriend, Miss Diaz. He has 2 children, ages 18 and 16. In the past, he succeeded at the Reachbed Chrysalis Center. He graduated from a technical high school in Massachusetts. He worked for a year, excellent work history at Sardilli's. After that, he worked for a year at Taylor Rental. He completed a 5-month cognitive behavioral treatment program, CTPSB, CRT. He also was in individual treatment and med management with Dr. Hasbani. He is med compliant. He's wishing to be placed in a Reach or Chrysalis bed. I don't believe you can do that. Sir, what jurisdiction would you like to be in for a halfway house? And then hopefully they can place you in a bed.
You want to stay in Hartford?
What town, yes, sir? Hartford? Okay. Yes. He wishes to also get his driver's license. I don't believe this violation is sufficiently serious to require more than the time that he's been incarcerated. As of 3/17/25, he will have been held 3 months. Once again, no graduated interventions or sanctions. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. So I have listened to testimony. I reviewed evidence received by the state. On the record, there's any prior violations, no misconducts received. As was stated, the defendant was on parole for about 3 years and 2.5 months before he's returned to custody on this, he received this new conviction for. Based on this information, I'm going to recommend that parole be revoked to be re-paroled for March 17, 2025. This is the approximate 3-month period confinement as a sanction, as well as the EOS state on that 90-day jail sentence. I also recommend the following parole conditions: halfway house placement, no consumption of alcoholic beverages, no contact with your victim AN, no contact with minors without PO's permission, mental health evaluation and treatment as deemed necessary, and predominant sexual behavior treatment. My findings will go on the parole board on March 6th. So if the board agrees with me March 6th, you should be released March 13th. So the board can hold you in longer if they do want to, though. If they do agree with me, you will be released March 17th. Do you have any questions?
You had said March 13th. You meant the 17th, right?
Sorry, March 17th, yes.
Okay. So,
yes,
sir,
March
call
17th.
Thank you. Call us on the 7th, sir, of March in our office, Friday the 7th, and we'll let you know whether or not you're going to be released on the 17th. Okay, sir?
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
and you'll
have a
get
good-
something in the mail too, okay?
Yes.
From the parole board.
Can you,
Okay.
can my lawyer call me instead of me calling him to?
On the 7th? Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Okay, sir?
Okay.
All right. Have a good day, sir.
All right, you're all set, sir.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you, hearing examiner.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Have a
All
good
right,
day.
you're welcome. You too.
Have a good day, Alfonso.
Take care, Rob. Thanks.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. Mr. Camacho?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We're here today for your revocation hearing. I have your attorney here, so we're going to get started, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm Theo Meisinger, hearing examiner for the Board of Paroles and Paroles revocation hearing concerning Camacho Nicholas, number 383465. Today is February 19, 2025. This hearing is being conducted via video at the BOPP Central Office in Carl Robinson Correctional Institution. This is a public hearing and public access. This hearing is available via video live stream. Can you please state your full name and DOC inmate number for the record?
Nicholas Camacho, 383-465.
Thank you. New counsel here today. Please identify yourself.
Sure. Attorney Alfonzo Sirica, public defender with the Parole Revocation Unit on behalf of Mr. Camacho.
This is a revocation hearing to determine whether you have violated the conditions of your release. I will review and make findings of facts as to each of the charges against you. The state, not you, has responsibility to prove the allegations by a preponderance of evidence. That is, the better weighted evidence must establish that more probable than not the allegation is true. If I do not find there is a preponderance of evidence to support a violation of one or more conditions of your parole, I'll reinstate your parole, which is releasing and place you back on parole supervision. If I find that you have violated one or more conditions of your parole, I will consider whether or not your parole should be revoked. If I recommend revocation, I'll make a recommendation as to appropriate sanction. My recommendation will be given to a panel for final decision. If the panel wishes to impose a sanction beyond my recommendation, a supplemental hearing will be provided to justify additional confinement. So this is the procedure. I'm going to read you your rights. Then we're going to review the parole violation charge the state your appeal is bringing against you. I will review and identify exhibits filed for the record. Counsel will then have an opportunity to present a relevant testimony. After considering all the evidence presented, I will announce my findings. If I find you violated one or more conditions of your parole, counsel will have an opportunity to speak to your background and history. Do you have any questions about the purpose or procedure?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You have important rights. You have the right to have an attorney present. You have counsel here. You have right to see the written notice of charges of violation. Did you receive the written notice?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You have a right to view the evidence. You have a right to submit evidence supporting your case. At this hearing, you have a right to call and examine voluntary witnesses or cross-examine adverse witnesses. Do you understand these rights and are you ready to move forward?
Yes.
All right. So we'll now review the charge. State your appeal is bringing against you and the information underlying each charge. So charge 1 under release restriction GPS, your charging officer reported at 9/7/24, approximately 9:42 p.m. You removed a GPS monitoring unit from your ankle and left in your room at the Watkinson Halfway House prior to walking out of the side door. This is in violation of your signed GPS monitoring agreement. Charge 2 under bail laws will be into the law. You're charging officer report at 9/19/24. You attempted to flee from parole officers as well as New Britain police officers. You engaged officers in a foot pursuit and ignored numerous commands to stop running. You continue to attempt to flee on foot until you were detained by New Britain police officer. Your actions hindered and endangered officers in the performance of their duties, and therefore you are charged with interfering with an officer. Charge 3 under additional conditions, halfway house placement. You're charging officer report at 9/5/24. You signed out to Watkinson Halfway House to go to the city hall in Britain. You contacted the halfway house to state that you would be late to return from your signed pass. The PO was notified, immediately reviewed your GPS points, which placed you on Amethyst Street, which is this PO knew to be your girlfriend's residence. You do not have permission to be at your girlfriend's residence. This is in violation of your signed halfway house agreement. And on 9/7/24, staff Watkinson Halfway House was conducting the 10 p.m. house count and did not observe you in the building. Upon review of the camera system, you observed to be exiting out of the side door of the halfway house approximately 9:43 p.m. Staff conducted an emergency count and you could not be located anywhere in the building or the grounds. You did not register a phone number with the halfway house staff to attempt to contact you, and calls to emergency contact were unsuccessful. Over the subsequent days, this PO attempted to locate you via calls to your emergency contact. Local hospitals and police departments negative findings. The Revocation Committee were known until you were located and detained by Parole New Britain Police Department on 9/19/24 in the city of New Britain. This is in violation of condition halfway house placement. And the state has filed the following exhibits that are pre-marked for identification purposes as Exhibit A, notice of parole violation; B, notice of parole rights; C, remand actual custody order; D, PCS signed conditions; E, halfway house agreement; F, GPS monitoring agreement; G, community solutions incident report; H, L, universal position history from 9/5/24; I, community solutions incident report; J, Allied universal event history; K, note left with GPS unit; L, misdemeanor summons; M, New Britain PD incident report, case ending in 2564; and N is the parole violation report. Did you receive notice of parole violation report, and those other documents I marked, and did you review those?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, and counsel filed the following exhibits that are pre-marked for identification purposes as Defense Exhibit 1, which is list of parole accomplishments and future plans for parole reinstatement, and Defense Exhibit 2, which is a letter from Nicholas Camacho. Do you need to continue this hearing to obtain any additional evidence?
No.
Okay, we have no witnesses today. It is now defense's opportunity if you'd like to speak to any of the evidence submitted.
Can I have Mr. Camacho put under oath, please?
Sure, Mr. Camacho, will you please raise your right hand? You solemnly swear, solemnly affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, to help you God by penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So, Nicholas, regarding that charge number 1, where the allegation is you removed your GPS bracelet, could you let the hearing examiner know what was going on at the halfway house? And did you have a conversation with your parole officer with the conditions at the halfway house?
I didn't let them know that I broke my bracelet off, but I let them know that I didn't want to stay in the halfway house because from last night for being in the halfway house, I knew that it was very a lot of activity in the halfway house, and I don't want them to jeopardize my freedom. So my anxiety just kicked in and stress, And I felt best for myself, wanted to leave there before they put me in jail, but still I put myself in jail.
And the activities you're referring to is the drug use in the halfway house, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And I know you removed it. Did you ever leave the city of New Britain?
No.
Okay. And that individual where you're charged with not on the halfway house blame, September 5th, that's the same individual you recently had a baby with about 7 months ago?
Yes, my fiance.
Okay. And that charge number 2 in court, the interfering charge, you knew
Yes.
there was a warrant for your remand already at that time,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you received 4 months in court, it looks like on January 10th of 2025?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you've been incarcerated since September 19th is when you got remanded?
Yes.
Okay. You don't, obviously, you don't have anything else pending in any other courts, correct?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. I don't have anything else to add, P.O. Meisinger, and I believe the addendum, it looks like I'm showing a max court date of March 14th, so I don't believe initially there was a bond set on this case. Do you have that, P.O. Meisinger? As a max
His
date?
EOS on the 4 months is March 14th.
Okay, thank you. That's, yeah, I have the same date. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so the addendum does say on January 10th, 25, you were convicted of interfering with officer, received a 4-month jail sentence with that end date of March 14th to 25 for that conviction. I just want to put that on the record too, as was stated, to confirm that. And, all right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to announce my findings. So on that charge 1, I do find you violated GPS based on the evidence that was provided, exhibits D, F, and J. On charge 2, I do find you violate that conditional obedience to the law based on your conviction of interfering with an officer, received a sentence of 4 months jail. And on charge 3, I do find you violated that condition halfway house placement based on evidence that was provided in support of the charge, which is exhibits D, E, I, G, and H. So that includes the fact-finding portion of the hearing. Before I make a recommendation, counsel will have an opportunity to speak to your background and history. This purpose part of this part of the hearing is to help determine what outcome I will recommend. So if you would like to at this time.
Yes, thank you. On behalf of Mr. Camacho, my client is 32 years old. As I just indicated, just had a child approximately 7 months ago. Upon his previous release, he was at the Community Solutions Halfway House in Hartford, and then he was sponsored in the community in September of 2022. He did obtain, while he was out, obtained his OSHA 10 certification and also participated in a graveling apprenticeship, which he was learning how to fix and repair cracks in the roads. He did, while he was out on supervision, it looks like while at the CPA house, he worked at CJS Global, which was a commercial cleaning company, worked for a pet grooming company with his sister. Also worked as a security guard at Dependent Apartments, worked in a couple of restaurants in the New Britain area. And as I indicated, he did start that apprenticeship. So while he was out in the community for an extended period of time, he did have employment. He did indicate to us he did successfully complete anger management and Wheeler Clinic in New Britain. This goes back from June to July of 2022. He is working in the Department of Corrections in the laundry room. He does want to be in the New Britain area. Obviously, that's the reason he removed his GPS. His girlfriend's in the area, just had a new child, so he doesn't want to be in the New Britain area. Is for his first choice. Or in the Plainville area. He's obviously amenable to any job opportunities. He's indicated to us he does have a job with one of his friends fixing commercial appliances in restaurants, and obviously does want to be back out in the community to be part of his child's life. And that letter we submitted, that's obviously Mr. Camacho penned that letter, just giving you a little background on what he wants to do. I realize the short period of time he was out, but in that particular house he was in, there was, as all halfway houses, issues with drugs and things of that nature. I after speaking to him, there are ways to address that issue. Obviously, this was not addressed correctly by removing your unit, but as I indicated, they knew where to find him, that his girlfriend / fiance's house. And you know, he's back in, he's been in since September. And I'm showing he's on supervision for a couple more years. So hopefully he can get back out there and get back on track. I said while he was out for extended period, he did have a job. He was doing some treatment, so hopefully we can get him back on track. Nicholas, I know we did submit your letter. She obviously read it. Anything you want to add I left out? This is your opportunity to add anything you want to put on the record.
I just want to put on the record that I do have a job now too as well. The guy that I was talking about for the restaurant industry, he's just waiting for me to come home. I do have money saved up for special parole housing. That instead of halfway house, the housing that if you pay 2 months completely to my PO, that they will give me my own room. So I have that money put up. I saved a lot of money in jail for that. I just want to come home to my daughter and my family and to be a father that I should be.
Thank you.
There's no halfway houses in New Britain or Plainville that I can put. So what area did you want to go to? Waterbury, Hartford?
There's a special parole house in Hartford that I will have money for. There's no halfway house like you said in New Britain, but as long as I don't have to deal with no other person that's going to interfere with me, I can pay for my own room.
Nicholas, you can't. That's great. You have some funds set aside, I believe, which I don't want to speak for the hearing examiner. They can't just put you in a house. That has to be set up through your field parole officer where the house is paid up front. But to get you out at some point, you're going to need to pick a location you want to go to through your parole officer, and then you can work on the other housing down the road. I believe that's what she's trying to say.
I apologize. I try to talk to my PO to tell her, can she put me in Open Heart in Hartford, because they actually do give me help with mental, because you see, my mental is not even stable. I need mental health.
All right. So Hartford, want to go to the Hartford area? Oh, with the trying to get
Open
you
Heart,
into
yes.
Open Heart. Okay.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to say?
I don't have anything else to add. Thank you.
All right, so I'll be right with you with my recommendation. So I am going to put in the record, you were only out there 20 days before you absconded from supervision, returned on new charges. You do have 3 prior parole violations, 2 for absconding, as well as a technical violation. So this is your 4th parole violation on this period of special parole since 2022. Your officer is recommending a year minimum for this. It is concerning because you do keep absconding. So this is your 3rd time absconding from parole supervision. So it's hard to get you help and treatment when you keep leaving. So, and then you're never going to finish supervision if you keep doing this as well. So that's a concern. And unfortunately, you're probably going to have to go back to a halfway house again. And there needs to be some kind of, you need to learn why you're having an issue and a better way to address these issues and who you need to talk to, like your parole officer. They may not be able to move you immediately if there's an issue, but you need to have a discussion and wait for the correct response instead of just leaving on your own and taking things into your own hands. Because unfortunately, you're not while in supervision right now. If you don't have anywhere to go yet, and the fact that you keep absconding, they're going to want to put you in a halfway house or put you on GPS because you keep leaving. So in order to make these things better, you need to comply with parole so that you can come off GPS and go where you want to go. And that's going to make you successful, but you're going to have to comply with parole and go about things the right way. And you keep making these poor decisions every single time we release you. So it is a concern for me. And I do understand why your officer is recommending at least a year in minimum. Based on the information that I have, I'm going to recommend that parole be revoked, be re-paroled for September 19th of 2025. This is about a 1-year period of confinement as a sanction. I recommend the following parole conditions: halfway house placement, no consumption of alcoholic beverages, mental health evaluation and treatment as deemed necessary, behavior management program for anger management, no contact with your victims JW and FG, no contact with your co-defendants David Arroyo, Joseph Orez, Francisco Santana, and Orion Ron. My findings are going to the parole board March 6th. So the board's going to make the decision. So they can let you out sooner. They can also max out your special parole till 2027. They do have the ability to do that. If they wanted a longer sanction, they'd bring you back. They tell you why, and you talk to the parole board if they wanted it longer than what I'm saying. Otherwise, you would be released. As I said, September 19th is my recommended date. You'll know March 6th what the parole board's decision is. So they're going to send you something in writing about a week after that date. You'll get it in writing, and you can speak to your attorney that day as well, or the day after, and they can tell you what the board's decision is.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Nicholas, if you can get a call the office on Friday, March 7th. We can tell you over the telephone before you get in writing what the final outcome is, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
So I wish you the best of luck, sir. I hope things work out for you next time you go back out.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, good luck.
All set?
Thank you, Attorney
Sirica?
Sirica.
All
Yes,
We're good. Thank you.
thank you. Have a good day.